Breaking news into CBS Sports HQ. Atlanta down to their last gasp, trailing 3 with 5 seconds left, inbounded into a trap. Can't get a shot off, need to get a shot off. They don't. The Miami Heat are moving on to the conference semifinals, taking care of Atlanta in 5 games. They win this series 4-1 as Trae Young again goes missing for the Atlanta Hawks. He finished this one with 11 points. He had 8 points in a Game 1 loss, 9 points in a loss, 11 points in this one. 3 of the 4 losses in this series for the Hawks, Trae Young scores 11 points or less. He had just 2 field goals made from the field. That magnified by his 6 turnovers. But on the positive side of things, the Heat, without Jimmy Butler, without Kyle Lowry, they spread the love in the form of Bam Adebayo, Victor Oladipo with 23, Max Strus pitching in 15, Martin off the bench with 10, Hero as well with 16. A team effort as they row in the same direction towards the next round. All right, let's break it down with the coach, Avery Johnson, here to weigh in on what now is a series that's come to a close. Let's begin on the Miami side, Coach, because as each day passes, we're trying to figure out who are the real contenders as we come down the stretch here. Miami able to close out this series without 2 of their biggest stars. What does that tell you about this team, not just today, but moving forward in these playoffs?
Well, our buddy Mike and I spoke this into existence, Joe, earlier on CBS Sports HQ when we talked about Bam Adebayo was going to have to be the guy to step up and lead Miami to this win. Sure, Victor Oladipo was sensational, but it was Bam. And because he's a two-way player, he was outstanding on both ends of the floor, physical presence inside, and then his switching defense inside, outside of Trae Young, was sensational. You look at Victor Oladipo, he was, back in the form. Here's a guy that was out for 11 months. He made some huge plays. Nice short pass assist there to Bam Adebayo late in the game. And when you can win a game like this without your best 2 players, Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, who can combine for 50 points on any given night, and you can go deeper down your rotation, the guys like Oladipo, Tyler Hero, Strauss, this bodes well for a team like the Miami Heat, especially coming up in this series where they're going to play the winner of Philadelphia and the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, Coach, we'll get to one of those potential matchups here in a moment, but I do want to talk about something you just said. The team approach is something we talked about prior to this series and why Miami was decidedly more dangerous than the top-heavy approach that the Atlanta Hawks bring to the table. Well, that top-heavy approach didn't work either because Trae Young went missing. Game 1, it was 8 points. Game 4, it was 9 points. Here in a closeout, 11 points. Just 2 made field goals, no made threes. 7 of those 11 points came from the free throw line, Coach. What can you say about Trae Young and what he was unable to accomplish in this series?
I think he looked a little nervous, and he was just sharp and rattled. And I've coached against Trae Young when he was at Oklahoma. And the idea was, hey, pick him up 94 feet, trap him in the backcourt, frustrate him on his pick and rolls. But more than anything, make him play defense when he's on the defensive end of the floor. Force him to switch. Post him up. If his man doesn't shoot the basketball and he's in a rebounding position, attack the offensive glass, even if you commit a loose ball foul every now and then. But that physicality is going to wear him down. Miami must have stolen my playbook because that's exactly what they did. And they wore Trae Young down. He turned the ball over 6 times. And even at the end of the game, you remember when he missed that first free throw when they're down by 4 points? He missed that free throw. He shuffled his shoulders. Even my wife said, Trae Young looks nervous. And man, he just wasn't the same player in this series. He didn't look like a max contract player. DeAndre Hunter, the world champion, NCAA champion from the Virginia Cavaliers, he looked like the future of the Atlanta Hawks. He was a guy that I predicted coming out of college when I recruited him, that he was the next Kawhi Leonard, and he looked like it tonight. So the Atlanta Hawks' future is bright if they utilize DeAndre Hunter more, especially on the offensive end of the floor.
Very much so. This was a team that did have Eastern Conference Finals experience a year ago, but this was a starkly different Trae Young from the guy that we saw welcoming the Boo Birds at MSG and taking his team to such heights. The season cut short here in the first round of these playoffs, but the Miami Heat now, they avoid 2 more flights as they get this thing done at home. They can rest a little bit, get those guys right in Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry. As you look forward to potential matchups here in Philly and Toronto, Coach, we know that Miami wants it to go 7 regardless of who they see, but who do the Heat match up with better in your eyes?
They match up better actually with Philadelphia because they're really good at eliminating a player from a series. I've coached against this philosophy before, in the regular season and in the finals. So they'll eliminate James Harden basically from this next series. And if they do, they'll allow Joel Embiid to, score, which he's trying to score with a surgically repaired hand that they're going to have to address after the season. So again, I think the Miami Heat, even though the money would be on, they want to play the Toronto Raptors, I think they actually want to play the Philadelphia 76ers because they'll be able to key on one guy. The other star player is playing with an injured hand. And because of that, they'll attack both of those players, specifically James Harden, who's never going to be first team all defense, far from it. So I believe that the Miami Heat would like to play against the Philadelphia 76ers.
It's an interesting...
And not the Toronto Raptors, who have multiple ball handlers, guys that can all pass, dribble, and shoot, and you don't know exactly where their offense is coming from, so it's hard to key on one guy.
Yeah, sort of like looking in a mirror a little bit when you're looking at those two teams, maybe not yet as effective as this Miami Heat team, but plenty of options there in Toronto. We'll see how that series plays out. We'll continue to break it down with the coach, Avery Johnson. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, here's a look at your Wednesday formality with or without Levine for your hometown Bulls on Wednesday night. Average margin of defeat in their 3 losses this series is 20. That leaves us plenty of room for the Game 5 line of 12. Any indication that we'll get one last haymaker here out of Chicago?
Can they find what they did in games 1 and games 2? I'll say this, okay? They played well up there in Milwaukee. Won game 2, very competitive in game 1, but we all know they're not winning this game. I want to hang out with the people who bet the Bulls. I always think it's really tough to bet a dog when you have 0.0 chance of winning this game. The Bucks just completely outclassed the Bulls. Sometimes you see an allowance horse come down to claiming ranks, and even though they're not running great in allowance races, they come down to claiming ranks, mop the floor with them. So even though the Bucks weren't playing their best basketball, they kind of took a step down, and they were like, oh, okay, we're going back to Chicago. We're going to beat up on these teams. So Drew Holiday was sensational. This guy is a rebounding machine. We all know I love the old Giannis rebounding prop, especially when he gets the minutes, because 10's a lock, and then you're just playing for basically 2 to 4 rebounds for him to go over that prop. I'm going to lay the points. I know when you lay 12 in the NBA, you're asking for it, but I can see the Bulls just completely laying down in this game and losing 115, 101. I guess that would be covered, right? I was thinking more like 120, 100.
We saw it happening.
Basically, I see a blowout. If you see a blowout, then you can lay all those points.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you here. The Bulls do look like they're limping to the finish line and could be without Levine again. Much like the Bucks, the Warriors do have a closeout opportunity on home wood as well, in line for the gentleman's sweep. But let's not forget the Nuggets did erase 2 3-1 deficits in the bubble 2 years back, although they didn't trail 0-3 in either of those. They also had a duo and not a one-man show, but you're saying there's a chance. Dubs are given a 9er here. Total's 226. Where's our edge in this one?
Joe, another game where if you take the Nuggets, I got a lot of respect for you. You should know they're not winning this game, especially at Golden State. I thought Denver played exceptional. They didn't play perfect, but they played exceptional. And Joe, they were life and death to win game 4 as the Warriors they have an ability to flip a switch. 69 second half points Golden State scored in Denver. That to me told me, all right, they got a rhythm going right now from an offensive standpoint. So instead of laying the 9, I'm just going to bet Warriors over their point total. I think this is a game that they could be in the 125 range. Obviously 69 second half points. That's good momentum to go. It's pretty good offensively to bring the old Steph Curry off the bench. That's what they're doing right now. And Steph looked like himself at times. 33 points last out in game 4. Poole wasn't, as good as he had been in the previous games, but he was good enough. And then when you start giving Draymond Green the weapons, if Draymond Green had me and you as weapons, he is terrible. But you give him Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, all of a sudden he's a Hall of Fame player. Like, he's the best glue guy of this generation. Like, the Warriors score at will. It can be over their point total.
All right, Tim Doyle doesn't want me in his pick and pop. Message received. Let's take our talents here to your favorite player prop on Wednesday night. Either game,